How you doing, man? It's welcome to a new week, Monday. How you been?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic, Cory. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
Happy Monday.
Yeah, exactly. I was fired up our conversation. A little, none like a little warm up, little 30-minute warm up to get us rolling here on a Monday.
Hey, right? We're professionals.
That's right. Welcome to the InnSync show, man. Looking forward to having you on to talk about prospecting. So, how about can you do a quick intro for us?
Looking forward to being on. Yeah, of course, my friend. So my name is Alan English. I'm an account executive on the growth team at Flip.to. And what Flip.to is, it's a platform for hotels, resorts, and destinations to reach, inspire, and win over audiences that are in the dreaming and planning phases of their traveler journey. And the reason that we do this is because I don't have to tell you this, Cory, or any other hotel. It's very expensive to get people to know about you. So Flip.to is a solution for hotels to really think through on their strategies and to develop ways to get in front of new audiences that are first trusted, but also natural and authentic, so they can build conversations that can drive intent. So the largest goal for us is, of course, audience growth, then to drive a direct booking by using thoughtful and authentic conversations with guests. So that's me, and that's what I do.
Wonderful. As amazing as that all sounds, looking for new business can be challenging. And so I thought about this particular topic. Nobody better than to chat with you about sales prospecting and why some efforts are more colder than others.
Yeah.
So what's your definition of outbound prospecting anyways?
Yeah, so my definition of outbound prospecting is identifying a customer and then reaching out to them directly to sell a product or to sell a service. So essentially, in layman's terms, it's going to someone and saying, hey, buy my product.
Now, why is that particular act, it sounds so simple, but it can be really challenging, obviously, depending upon the timing, product that you're selling, your approach. Why is that more difficult than say other types of sales tactics?
Yeah, sure. So outbound prospecting is extremely difficult, mainly because of what you're competing against out there. You know, I think that the best parallel would be spamming. Everyone does not like spam. So to get the attention of someone, to let them know that you're actually reaching out in benefit and you're not reaching out to just for yourself, you know, I think that's one of the largest hurdles that makes it hard. And then also for that, you know, your customer's perspective, they have to also understand that this isn't just a random outreach. You know, there has to be some sort of transfer of value. And I think that's why prospecting gets missed a lot.
Yeah, good point. Transfer of value. That's a really, really good point. With so many of us are bombarded with marketing messages, and in fact, you had sent me over that one meme from Marketing Millennials of, hey, you breathe, I breathe. How about we set
15 minutes for a call, right?
Exactly.
We have so much in common. We're both humans.
Exactly. Oh my God, I found a tangible connection point there. So it's almost like an insult, but you're so right. We get bombarded. You know, obviously you and I have connected many times on LinkedIn. It's definitely our for us in the B2B space. That's kind of our go-to area of choice. And so you're so right. It's almost like oftentimes I feel that person didn't even give us an opportunity to have some sort of meaningful small talk, have some sort of small conversation, build up to the point where there was some element of trust there. So at least we can get to know each other, find out if there's mutual interests, and even go from that to a point where we could even share, hey, what do you do? What do I do? And get into that type of conversation. Why do you think people just don't have the patience for that? What's
You know, one of the there's an influencer who I love to follow, and they say that every year the attention span's getting so short, and right now it's shorter than a goldfish. So I think, yes, that does fall into it. But also, if you just look at the way that a lot of individuals view sales, you know, at all. You know, if I ask you, Cory, if you think of a salesperson outside of industry, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
a person that's trying to convince me to buy a product or service that I didn't ask for or I don't need or want.
Right? But is that a positive connotation?
No, it's a negative.
Exactly.
Yep.
So if you're already in a position and your title is sales or account executive, the second that you send an outreach out, you're already hitting an uphill battle. That's just right. From that initial title. But the problem is nothing can get done, out there without a little bit of help, right? So vendors do have a place in the industry. And that's why hotels or resorts, for this specific conversation, that's why they do pick up the phone sometimes, or they do respond to outreach. And that's why I said before, it's that transfer of value, because to even get someone to pay attention to you, you have to be able to present yourself as, I'm not a used car salesman. I'm not here trying to sell you a lemon or a product that you don't need or don't want. It's funny how everything always goes back to marketing, hitting someone with the right message at the right time, with the right value proposition, that really comes down to outbound prospecting too.
Absolutely. So in your broad spectrum of temperature check, right?
Yeah.
How would you define cold, warm, and even hot when it comes to prospecting?
Yeah, sure. So when you're looking at prospecting, this is going out to someone who you're currently not engaged with, right?
So this doesn't relationship at all whatsoever.
Well, you can have a relationship, but this relationship isn't active, so I wouldn't consider, if I outreach my wife for a business lead, I don't think I'd call her a prospect, right? So when it comes into the different degrees of cold, warm, or hot, one way to look at this would be, well, how good is my relationship with this person? So a hot relationship, that might be you and me, Cory. I know why I'm reaching out to you. I know what is going to bring value to you. So this is a very good or high probability that this conversation is going to engage with the intent that I choose for this to engage with. Vice versa, if something is medium on this kind of scale of something being warm to hot, a medium person might be someone that I'm kind of familiar with, but it might have been some time since we last engaged. So this might be someone I went to college with. We talk every once in a while. We know about what we're doing, but it's not an active relationship where I can just say, hey, I need this. You have to put in some time to form it up. Vice versa, cold. A cold outreach would be what we typically would view as going to a stranger. This is someone that I don't know. And this is going to be aligned to, like I mentioned before, probability. If someone is cold, you're looking at this in regards of understanding how can I get this person to pay attention to me, and what's the likelihood this person's going to engage off of that. So to circle back around and put the answer in front of my answer there, it would be cold to hot, just a range of the probability that a conversation is going to result in the outcome that you want.
Wonderful. How come a lot of sales, new business development salespeople, definitely getting a bad rap lately? In fact, I see a lot of sentiments, a lot of people posting their actual DMs that they're getting. I know we just touched early on in this, we kind of jumped the shark on that quickly, but admittedly, there's some bad tactics going out there, but definitely it's going around. There's a lot of bad actors out there. So why is that? And why are people getting a bad rap?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different reasons to point out there. But look at technology, right? Technology is one of those things where it's great for some things, and some things it makes it a little too easier to do, right? Yeah. So one of the great things about networks is we're all connected to everybody. One of the bad things about networks is we're all connected to everybody as well.
Yeah, right.
So if I have a product or a service, which there's a million out there, everyone has a need, you're going to have to go to a pool of customers. And where are your pool of customers? Well, nowadays they're all online. Absolutely. We don't door knock anymore and go door to door in the city. So if I'm prospecting a group of 10 hotels here in Orlando, there might be 5-10 other people in hospitality tech also prospecting the same area. Yep. So it's not hard to get noticed. Turn on LinkedIn, and how many outreaches do you have from different people you've never met any at all, and they're all from all around the world trying to pitch you on why their product is so great and why you should listen to them about why their product is so great. You know, I'm not even at the senior level in regards of my responsibilities, but even I'm outreach consistently, whether it's through email or LinkedIn, and we just start becoming desensitized to it. So yeah,
that's a really good point. You're going for that hand in marriage without a date at all, right?
Yeah.
But what I can't understand is there are, and I bring this analogy up quite often, so many professionals that I know in this industry are fantastic networkers in person. They know exactly, they love it. They thrive on it. We've got an NPI event coming up. I can't wait to get in, walk in through those doors. I've got thousands of people I can talk to. They do an amazing job at doing it in person. They stall by walking up to somebody that they didn't read the name tag. Hey, I'm Sally Sue from XYZ company. They start with some small talk. Then, you know, there's a very mindfully crafted way to go about that, where you don't go from somebody you don't know to pitch slapping them, right, with all the stuff that you've got to buy my product. There's a method. There's a sense of way that you do that. How come people have a difficulty of striking that comparison of what they do in person to doing it online? That's
an amazing question.
Oh wow!
You know, that's a very, very good question, Cory. You know, it's interesting that you put it into that perspective, because online should operate the same way that we operate being a human. You know, and I think that we try to cut corners a lot online. And you can probably sometimes see this with people too. And the reason I'm laughing is because you brought up the dating analogy in regards to wanting to get married before you date. And this is probably one of my favorite analogies to use in sales, whether or not it's appropriate or not. But that's completely the way that you look at it. You know, you think of chat pickup lines, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And if you think about the success rate of bad pickup lines versus something that's well constructed and thoughtful, you know the answer right there and then, you know? And that's the same in regards of connecting with someone online versus connecting with someone in person. In person, you know that there has to be a relationship that's built. So you don't go in full force, bull in China shop. Hey, I just saw, hey, Cory, nice to meet you. My name's Alan English, work for Flip.to. Do you want to book a meeting with me? You know, this is what Flip.to does as well. You know, you have, that would never be appropriate in person, but that's what people do in LinkedIn messages, right?
Absolutely.
You know, and you have to have this, you have to put the humanity back into things and think of it from a perspective of truly wanting to help people. You know, and I think this is an area that we really focus a lot on at Flip.to. You know, we're very blessed to have the mentors that we have internally in our company. And we always focus as a sales team to make sure that no matter what it is that you're doing, the sale's important, but the sale isn't the most important thing. The most important thing is to be of help, to provide value. You know, if you're not asking, how can I be of help before you're telling someone how expensive your product is, then you've completely missed the ball. So I think that the problem online is that people skip that step. People skip the step of wanting to form a relationship. People skip the step of wanting to truly understand your values. And they shoot the gun, you know, prematurely to say, hey, I see that you breathe, Cory, and I breathe. Let's talk for 15 minutes about why we both breathe. And yeah, I get it. We both are humans. We both have lungs, but man, I'm not focused on breathing right now. Could you at least ask if, like, would you be interested to have a focus to talk on breathing? You know what I mean? But I'm being light, but that's really, you know, the precipice of how you become strong in prospecting and how you turn a cold outreach, you know, up a couple of degrees and you make it a little warmer, and how do you turn a warm outreach, you know, hotter? Because vice versa, just because you have a very hot lead or you have a hot outreach that's going out, doesn't mean that you're going to resonate with that person or it's going to be a silver bullet. I can reach out to someone that I've known for years and be completely direct to them, and they're going to ignore me because guess what, Alan, you're that friend who only reaches out when you need something. No. And if you don't need something, you're not going to reach out. So I'm conditioned whenever I see Alan's email, he probably just wants something. And that's why it's important that we truly care for each other. You know what I mean? Like my relationships that I had in my past job are still the same relationships that I have today. And when I develop a relationship with someone, it's beyond, you know, that one transaction. It's about the family, and it's about, you know, your personal lives and your personal goals. And I know that this is going to be where our conversation goes to here in a couple of minutes, but that's how you start to have success in these things. You know, when you are outreaching, how can I come across and resonate with this person in a way that they're going to listen to me? And it's back to my funny analogy, but back to dating, it's the same way in those terms of how can you show that you're thoughtful in your approach, that there's going to be something valuable here, more so than me just wanting to get something out of this interaction.
It's a really, really good point. One person brought up, and this was an interesting comment, he said, because we're not physically face to face, often people skip the necessary appropriate steps it takes to develop that, because they don't see the look on people's face. They don't get the feedback like, hey, you know, you may be asking some questions that are not quite appropriate amount of time.
Yeah.
Also, they're not seeing the side effects of moving too quickly. For instance, when you do that online, when you ask for too much too soon, you put up those barriers, right?
Agreed.
Now, Alan, if I move too fast online, I don't necessarily see the damage that I've done. I've actually made it harder for me to take that momentary pause, take those steps back. I've built up this wall. Now I've got to overcome the barriers again. And so I personally think that people need to be a little bit more mindful and realize that, just like we talked about, in person, online should be exactly the same process, but because you're not there face to face, you're not seeing either the feedback or the damage that you're creating. You're making it much more hard for yourself to really genuinely connect with that person. Ask those discovery questions, because as you had mentioned, not coming across as a salesperson, but the trusted advisor. You don't even know if your product's appropriate for somebody, or you can help them without asking those appropriate questions. So
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Agreed. It's interesting, a couple of the points that you brought up in regards of being mindful when you reach out, and then also in regards of timing. You just have to understand, you know, as much as you can before you go. And you really do, it really does benefit you to spend some time in research before you get off and do anything. So I just wanted to mention that those are really good points.
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
Appreciate that. Some really fantastic points. I'm sure you got some great feedback.
One more that I wanted to kind of bring up on that point is, it's interesting because I also feel that when you're being mindful, this is part of the problem and this is part of the issue, because we always hear that everyone's time is valuable, right? So even when account executives or business development managers are putting together outreach, I don't think that they really have ill intention in mind in regards of having these direct messages.
Yeah, no.
No, like I think that they're trying to be respectful, but by being too direct, you miss out on being human.
Yes.
And that's, you know, we had a conversation before this that was all about experiences, you know, and I feel that as an industry, we get too far removed in regards to selling the experiences. But even when you're talking about B2B sales, we sell experiences too.
Absolutely.
You know, when you come to work with Flip.to, this isn't just working with our product. This is working with me. This is working with our team. This is working with, you know, everything that comes along with it. And that's going to be part of that experience too. So if you're showing that the experience with us is going to be thoughtful from your very first outreach, you're setting an expectation of what's going to be delivered, and that's going to be appreciated too. But that doesn't come after being a person. You know, I think one of the funniest things, Hal, he's my other half, he's my tandem here at Flip.to.
Great guy. Yeah, absolutely.
best cold caller I've met in my life, man. Like if you talk about prospecting, Hal is the guru on everything. And if you ask Hal how all of his cold calls start, he'll ask them how they're doing. Hey, hello, this is Hal Fickett calling from Flip.to. How are you? I screw that up all the time. I go straight into, hey, this is Alan English calling from Flip.to. This is the reason I'm calling.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, he's definitely that soft-spoken, warm, right? He's got a very, very calming voice. He's the antithesis of the used car salesman, fast talkers. He's very slow and methodical. Yep. Yes.
Right? But that's why we make a really good team. But if you're starting off that very first interaction about the other person, that is so valuable.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to call that out, that it's not something that has to be super like hard to do, but just asking someone truly, how are you? That already sets yourself apart from other salespeople who just come right down and like, hey, this is what I want. This is why I think this is great for you. Blah, 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 blah.
Right. Really, really good point. And I wanted to also expand a little bit on what you talked about experiences. Along with that, through that sales telling experience, storytelling, is sharing with somebody and discovering what their current pains and challenges are, and then helping them understand what life is like after you've helped them wade through those challenges, hopefully with the product or service that you're representing, and let them understand what that could look like if in fact you solved all of this problem for them. And you can only do that through a very thoughtful and methodical question and make it absolutely about them. I'm here to help, obviously, alleviate some of the pain they have. Because in a sense, if there's no pain or no problem, there really is no sale, right?
Agreed.
It's as simple as that. And we talked about this earlier, especially in hospitality. Nobody wants to change. Change won't happen unless the pain is so severe that they can no longer bear that, and they need to visualize what that life could look like after the pain is gone.
Agreed.
As a good salesman, it's great to shine that light and really emphasize what those two lifestyles look like. Right?
Agreed. Yeah. Everything has a formula to it, and I think that you really broke it down. And in this conversation, we're starting to put those skeletons together, that it starts off with having that warmness, having that understanding that you're a person and I'm a person. I'm kidding. but literally that we both have goals in mind.
For
right?
sure.
And this outreach isn't about me just wanting to make my goal.
Right.
This outreach is about helping you hit your goal. So the way that we're going to get there is we're going to structure this in a way where it's, hey, first, attention grabber, then the context of what we're going to do here for you, and then, wrapping that up in regards of some sort of call to action or, whatever it is that you're going to close this up with. But there definitely is a formula that you can kind of put together here that does equal success for prospecting.
Well, you just kind of jumped the gun on my last question to you. Is you tipped your hand, right? What are some things that are working right now for Alan English in outbound prospecting right now?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I put a lot of the success that we have here at Flip.to on our team. I think that we have amazing mentors that are accessible to us, and they give us amazing coaching in regards on how to be successful at what we do. Now, you mentioned this before, innovation's not an easy thing. And Flip.to, our product is very innovative into the market. So when our conversations that we rarely have conversations with anyone who just doesn't get it, right?
Right.
However, getting someone to that conversation to see, our product, that's the uphill battle. So the secret sauce that, we do is, it's really not secret. We just talked through every last one of it. But one of the areas that our team has us focus on in our outreach is being potent in regards of what are our goals for the person we're reaching out to. So how can I clearly and concisely get my reason for outreach over, but how can I make it important to them in regards of why am I outreaching you now, and why is it important for you to have a call with me now? So that's some of the secret sauce that we kind of look at as a team here at Flip.to, is understanding how to present the true value. You know, the second thing, and I don't think this is an Alan thing, I think this is kind of an everyone thing, especially for sales, and it's important, is to be passionate about what you do.
Absolutely.
If you truly love what you do every single day, it's gonna show. Absolutely. And if you truly are passionate about what you're bringing to someone, they're gonna see that. And especially if you have a really good product to sell, embrace it. You know, don't be shy about wanting to get in good conversations with people, because that's honestly a reason why some people might get into a conversation with you. It's just, hey, I'm super excited about this. You really need to see this. I know it's super impactful for you. If I'm walking around a convention, people haven't seen me for a long time, they're like, hey, Alan, like, what are you doing? You look like you love your job so much. You know, so that's something to really hold near and dear when it comes to a salesperson, is to really embrace the passion that you have for the product. And lastly, still kind of tied to that passion point, is develop your personal brand. You know, people do business with people, and people do business with people that they like. So as you're developing a career in sales, or coming into sales, or really just any professional career at all, be very mindful of how you want to be perceived by other people. Do you want to be known for being speedy? Do you want to be known as a connector? Do you want to be known as a consultant? You know, do you want to be known as an expert? And if these are the personas that you want to pull off, go do the legwork and the groundwork to educate yourself and become these things. Like, be who you want to be. Don't just talk about it. Get out there and start connecting to people. You know, I think that one area that we're very successful at here as well is leveraging other vendors. You know, I think that a lot of times in sales, you look across the aisle and you see some person with a different color shirt than you and a different name in their company, and they're also a vendor, and you think that, hey, this is my competition. There's no one in this world who knows my struggle on a daily basis more so than another vendor sitting across from me. Absolutely. So sometimes these can be your best friends in the industry, especially if you have products that complement each other. Absolutely. So you have to go out there and learn what else is out there. What other solutions are your vendors considering outside of you? Whether they're direct competitors, whether they're indirect competitors. And as you're doing all this research, you're doing something very important. You're getting yourself outside of your world that you live in at your current company. You're understanding the landscape, and that whole around is going to bring more value for you. Because if you want that personal brand to be a consultant, well, guess what? Through making those couple of actions, by talking to you, you actually bring a lot more than just, in this situation, Flip.to. You bring your personal brand and everything that you've built with it along the way. So that's another area that you should really focus on, is your personal branding. And that can be as little, like, I have a fun story about my personal brand, because I put a lot of thought into this very recently during the pandemic. And a good friend of mine was English. You know, my last name is English, and ironically, I'm not from England. You know, I might have a little bit of an accent, but my mother's Jamaican. Her entire family lives in England, right? So I love to have fun with this. And I'm sure you've probably seen this. Like, oh, this guy's so freaking weird. He writes cheers on every email. Well, that's my personal brand, because as a salesperson, you also want to be memorable. So I know that if everyone else has any of their emails with thanks and best regards and all that kinds of stuff, I'm not in England. Everyone's not saying cheers. So if I can take that Alan English and then say cheers, and they kind of relate two and two together, I might have a one-up on someone where they're like, okay, I remember this guy, just based off of my personal branding. So I just want to kind of give kind of that full range of an idea of personal branding, that it doesn't have to just be how you want other people to perceive you, but it also can be small things in regards of what you do on a daily basis to make sure that you're remembered as well.
Love that. Yeah, all great tips there. One more thing I want to ask you: the importance of building solid social proof, especially in hospitality. How important has that been, review with an industry that's obsessed with TripAdvisor. We know all the importance of that, right? But what's crazy is I don't, the same level of attention on TripAdvisor on the leisure side, I don't see that same intensity necessarily on the meetings and events side. But for a vendor in the hospitality space on B2B, how important or how often does it come up that, hey, Alan, that all sounds great, but I need to know more people are in the space using it with success, Flip.to. How has that gone for you?
I'm laughing because I'm completely not a believer in social proof for travel, and I think we might have chatted on this before. And it's funny because I disagree when it comes to vendors in B2B. Social proof is the most important thing that we can have. It's the most important thing that we can use. The most important, because it shows not only that we're trustworthy, it also shows that what we do brings value. And that's all I want. If I ever outreach anyone, I'm not doing it just to ensure that I have a job tomorrow. The entire decision process of me coming to Flip.to was very mindful to work for a company that you're truly bringing value to the market. And every day I wake up, put on my Flip.to shirt, sit in my Flip.to branded chair, I completely have that belief that if I get on a phone conversation with a revenue manager or director of sales or a digital marketing manager, by the end of that conversation, they're going to understand that how we bring value, and they're going to start to see how this can be beneficial for them, because it's what I truly believe on. So if I can now get that person who I was able to win over from a non-believer to a believer and have this person talk on why this platform has been beneficial for them and why it's been beneficial for them, there's no better way to cut into an industry that is historically bad at innovating than doing that. And not to talk in the industry that has brought me so much, from careers to personal relationships to, meeting my wife, but we have a very monkey see, monkey do industry. And as I said, like, the only thing to move innovation in a monkey see, monkey do industry is to get one of the monkeys to say why it was so great that they used to.
Exactly.
You almost have to get some doing.
Also in this industry is plagued with FOMO, right?
Oh my gosh.
So you can use social proof to your advantage by saying, well, XYZ hotel down the road is using my product and service to incredible success. They've already been using it for 6 months. I can't believe you missed out on this. So right, you could also use it to your advantage by saying others in your comp set have been using it with tremendous success.
Agreed.
Think of what you could have been had you been successful.
Agreed. Right? Now, what's funny, I'm going to turn this back on you, because with social proof, there's a reason probably why it's not out there so much. And I think that there's a problem where everyone kind of holds their cards too close to their chest. And if something works for them, they don't particularly want to share that this works for them.
That is a good point. But however, I do see that understanding come around, because I think people are really beginning to learn that there are no secrets anymore, right? The internet has pulled the curtain off of everything. Yeah. Unfortunately, some in the industry still don't realize. I've seen it come up, obviously, with the challenges they're having hiring good people.
Sure.
A lot of people coming back saying, I wasn't treated so well, and they've magnified their voice. I think the industry is finally coming around to the fact that ultimately transparency, laying all your cards on the table, is always going to be the best. Share everything you can, good, bad, or ugly.
Great. Lay
it all on the table and let the cards fall where they may. And people will see that, especially on social proof. You're always going to get great reviews, but they really want to see, things haven't gone well and see how you deal with that. How did you respond to that? So yes, I agree. I think some people, we have a secret that we're going to, I beg to differ these days.
Agreed. We can learn so much more from each other, right? Keep ourselves out of issues. It's interesting, and not to make this all about Flip.to, But that's one of the areas of why we're so important, to the industry. Because if you look at what's going on with customer acquisition costs and how it's getting more expensive year after year after year after year, who's sharing strategies and stories on how do I earn people over without putting this money into Google and Facebook? You know what I mean? And I totally feel that, not even just I feel, but there's evidence to show that as the OTAs and as Google and Facebook and all these other third parties rose and to be dominant, we kind of just accepted it, and it's almost this reverse of social proof where, everyone says, oh my gosh, have you used this whole Google thing? Like, let's all get on it. And now everyone's freaking using it. And now everyone's addicted and no one's talking about, hey, we probably are doing something we shouldn't have started doing in the first place. But that's also kind of part of this whole social proof conversation in regards of, if you just share ways that you're hurting and be honest with that, like, I don't think anyone's having conversations, internally on the marketing side to say, oh my God, have costs risen like through AdWords so much over the past 10 years? Like, did we think about this when we made this our entire marketing strategy? And you start to have these conversations, you can start to see, other solutions that are out there. And you can also start to get over some of the issues of why maybe things don't change as quickly in our industry as they should.
Good point. And that's fantastic stuff. Hey, I could go on, man, for hours with you, but I'm trying to keep these little conversations good. And not only that, I want to save something up for our next combo. So
awesome.
Yeah, appreciate you spending a few minutes with us today.
No, Cory, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too, my friend.
All right.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.